everybody, it is Rebecca here. I am sorry I am a fraction late. If anybody's using the new Facebook Live, some requirements there in regards to getting started. So welcome everybody to day one of the Self-Worth Challenge, Self-Worth Week here in the Intuitive Life Academy. So, I have got a lot of content to get through today for you guys. So, it's probably going to take maybe half an hour, 40 minutes. I would encourage you guys to make sure that you're in an environment where you feel nice and relaxed and comfortable. Grab a glass of water, a pen and paper. I do have a Google document. I can also send it as a PDF. I would love for somebody, hey Rosie, welcome, lovely, to just check that they can see that on the and maybe if you can access it, that would be great. You might need to drop down the link to be able to see all of it, but if somebody could let me know that they can access the document, because I know some people love to walk through the information step by step as well. So if somebody could check that out for me, it's in the link. So that would be great. Excuse me. So welcome everybody. I'll just wait a few moments for everybody to continue to join. And like I said, today is day one of 5 days of doing Facebook Live videos to help you guys to identify and to increase your self-worth. And, today we're going to be talking about why do we want to do it with self-worth. And we're also going to be identifying where you're at right now, because of course, when you have awareness, then you can make choices. And from there, beyond judgment, of course. Thank you, Rosie, I appreciate that. And of course, going beyond that, what self-worth is not. And why? So let me start with that perhaps. Okay, I can't access it. Maybe it's because, let me just check. I'm just going to go and see. Oh, okay. Interesting. Oh, now it's asking me to sign in. Not to worry, I will upload it as a PDF later. So thanks for letting me know, Jules. Okay, so, and again, it's good to be in the moment in these experiences as well. So let's get started. Hi, Barbara. How are you, lovely? Welcome. I can't actually see who's on the call unless people comment. So welcome, everybody. But let's get started. So why self-worth? And interestingly enough, the interesting thing that came up for me, right? Like a lot of people talk about self-love. Why did I make it self-worth? Self-love or love is who you are, right? So that is your true original state. So why I chose self-worth is really the activation and the process of you getting to know who you really are, which is love. Now, if you've done any kind of personal development or spiritual work, you'll know that a lot of it is literally about letting go, right? Letting go of everything that stands in the way of you experiencing yourself as love. And not just knowing that as a concept, but actually embodying it. So you feel love energy in your body and you can actually identify and go, this is who I really am. I am this love energy that has a body. My soul is bigger than my body, and my soul is the vibration of love frequency. Okay, so really starting to understand love is already who you are. Self-worth is really the journey and the process of activating that. Excuse me. Alrighty, so don't worry folks about the link. I will send the PDF later. I'm a little bit late coming to the call because Facebook Live producer asked me to open up another server. So let's get started. But why self-worth? This is one thing that I see as the common denominator in my work with my clients. Every single client that comes to me, the common denominator on some level is that person is not seeing their full self-worth, right? They're in that space of not appreciating and understanding their value. And it impacts absolutely everything, right? I want you to think about the last big decision that you made for yourself. On some level, your self-worth would have contributed to making that decision. There would have been something inside of you that said, yes, it's okay for me to go for this. It's okay for me to have this experience. It's okay for me to experience more. So hopefully you can understand that your self-worth impacts every single area of your life. It impacts the money that you make. It impacts the relationships that you have. If you swing it back round, you'll see that it comes back to that statement. You teach other people how to treat you. So it comes back to your ability to really stick up for yourself, to back yourself, to go for what it is that what you want, and to get out of your own way, to let go of where you can see that you're telling yourself an untruth. So why are we doing self-worth? We're doing self-worth because it's like the foundation of your life. If you haven't got the foundation solid, then the house is going to fall over, right? You're going to try and go for something and you're going to think that life is pushing you back, or that it's not working for you, or there's something wrong with you because your foundation isn't solid. So this is really, before we've got all the framing on the house up, we've gone and we're starting to dig into the ground to be able to go deep enough. And I know this from the earthquakes, right? Like I remember there was a house in Christchurch and they had to go like 10 meters deep into the ground to build this house. This is about us looking at the bare patch and starting to dig into the ground so we can make sure that our foundations are rock solid, right? So your house is going to go up, it's going to be solid, it's going to be great, and it's going to serve you for your whole life. People don't understand either, too, that your self-worth has a huge impact on your future, which is why you want to concentrate on it now. If you're not focusing on your self-worth, then you're going to miss opportunities. Like things are going to slide. You're not going to recognize your own value, so therefore you're not going to allow yourself to go for it. I did download Your Future Self a wee while ago about activating that energy of living in your dreams. So many people I see think that it's not possible to live their dreams, and you've got to see why. Comes back to their self-worth. On some level, they don't believe that they can go for it, that they can make it happen, that it's available to them. And of course, what happens with this is there's lots of layers when it comes to the subconscious. But when we start being more aware and start working with our intuition, your intuition will show you more of the places that you're not aware of, so you can actually bring change to those parts of yourself. So that is why. Why? Because it impacts every single area of your life. It has a huge impact on the trajectory of your life. It has a huge impact on all the decisions that you're making. Even if you're making a financial investment, for example, you've got to weigh up the pros and cons. There's going to be a self-worth proposition within that to make the investment. It's everywhere in your life. This is why it's so important, and this is why we're doing Self-Worth Week. But let's start to just identify where you are at. So really simple question, straight up, right here, right now. I want you to ask yourself, on a scale of 1 to 10, where do you feel like your self-worth is at? Right? And don't worry about it too much. Just allow the number to pop forward, pop it in the chat box, and let me know what you get. Again, remembering an intuitive question is the information that just comes forward. So 1 being low, 10 being high, where are you at in terms of your self-worth at the moment? And also, can you ask this question from a place of pure awareness and without judgment? Right? Can you do that where you're just like, oh, I'm observing that about myself, but I'm choosing not to judge, right? Like even if it's a 2 or a 3, it's okay. It's just awareness. It's nothing, it's not right or wrong, it just is what it is. Once you have the information, right, remembering innocence is awareness without judgment, knowing what it is. If you don't want to put it in the chat box, that's fine, but at least write it down on your piece of paper. And also too, setting the intention that you're actually going to shift it by the end of the week. Because really, the thing is, folks, what you'll understand by the end of the week, I hope, is that self-worth is already here, right? Self-worth is already here. What we need to do often is shift our perspective of how we're viewing ourselves, rather than feeling like we have to go on this long odyssey that's going to take forever, and one day I'll reach the Holy Grail and therefore I will have received my my infinite worth and I'll see myself as I truly am. It doesn't have to be like that. It can literally be a shift in perspective to help you see yourself clearly and treat yourself accordingly. Okay, so does everybody have their number? If you don't want to put it in the chat box, please just put a yes or no in the chat box to let me know. A 10, got a 6, got a 5, got a 7, so kind of across the board. Yeah, even though I'm at a 10, I'm here to expand and evolve, absolutely. And also to learn, right? To learn, because often situations will pop up and it will have an impact on how we see ourselves. Life has an amazing way of doing that, right? Like, life has an amazing way of showing you all the things that you need to see. But again, it comes back to our perspective and how we're actually seeing those things and what we're making them mean. Okay, cool. So you've got your number. Write that on your piece of paper, and then set your intention. What would it take and what would it feel like? And again, whatever number you're at, I just want you to take the moment and the opportunity to lean in and ask yourself, what does it feel like if I'm at a 10 out of 10? Just kind of breathe that in, breathe in, and kind of ask your body, right? What would it feel like in my body if my self-worth was at a 10 out of 10? Just notice what comes up for you. There might be a sensation of being more relaxed, might be a sensation of kind of feeling more full or more expanded in your energy, more open. Just noticing that, because really at the end of the day, I can't teach you self-worth. You have to experience it for yourself. So this is why it's so important to be aware of your own body, of your own energy fields, of what's happening for you as we go through this process. So noticing that. What does it feel like? 10 out of 10, it might feel lighter. It might feel a little bit more bouncy, perhaps. Might feel like more fun. Just noticing what that is, okay? So if you've got your number, writing it down and asking yourself, what would it take for it to shift to a 10 out of 10 by the end of the week? What would that feel like in my body? What would be happening in my life and world? Okay, cool. So now that we've got your number and we've kind of set the stage and identified where you are at now, I'm actually going to talk about what self-worth is not. And I think often too, you'll see folks how this comes back to a lot of what we are taught about being human. And this also comes back to our ability to interpret reality. Because often what happens, right, with our rational, critical ego mind, we see things as being separate, right? We see the experience happening out there. So let's talk about this a little bit. So what self-worth is not? It is not the color of your eyes. It's not the size of your breasts or your genitalia. It's not the clothes you wear. It's not the car you drive. It's not the house that you live in. It's not your level of intelligence. Right? It's not where you go on holiday. It's not who you hang out with. It is not your social status. It's not your level of popularity. It is not your level of intelligence. Right? And I want you to notice how this is hitting you and your body and how it's making you feel, right? It is not anything outside of you. And this can be quite full on for your rational, critical, ego mind to swallow, right? It does not come from anything external. So I want you to put into the chat box, right, where you have thought perhaps that external things, right, maybe it's recognition, maybe it's validation, maybe it's getting your master's degree, maybe it's, being able to go on holiday 3 times a year. I want you to think about where you have contributed the belief that your self-worth comes from something external. Put it into the chat box, right? Because this is important to identify so you have an understanding of what your self-worth is not. Right? It's not how much money you have in your bank account. It's not how much you weigh. It's not how many times you go to the gym. It's not even if you're a nice person, or if you're compassionate, or if you're spiritual, or if you're loving, or if you're kind. It is none of those things. Woof. Right? And there might be part of you that's experiencing a little bit of cognitive dissonance right now, right? Like it's like, well, what is it then, right? But I've prided myself on my accomplishments. I pride myself on my how many books I've read. I pride myself on the fact that, I don't know, I've got a size whatever waist. You may have prided yourself. Notice the word pride. Because this is what happens. We're going to talk more about this in a moment. Pride and guilt. Okay, so energizing, confident, freeing. I know in my heart that what you say is truth. Nice. Yeah, it's about a feeling, isn't it, Rosie? But I want you to think of something where you have thought, if I get that, if I achieve that, if I do that, I will increase my self-worth. This is big, right? This is big, and this is why we're talking about this to start with. And also, too, this is how we start to disassemble what we have been told to be true. Society puts so much focus on, I get it, education, right? Education is important. But does that give you self-worth? Does getting an A as opposed to a C increase your self-worth? Really, truly, deeply, at the deepest part of your being, can you honestly say that getting an A over a C increases your self-worth? And if you truly believe that, I'm here to help you disassemble that so you can be free, because that is living in a world of tyranny, literally, that I have to get to a place where then I will be worthy. And a lot of people find this really confronting because they are addicted to pushing, right? They're addicted, period. Addicted to, it has to be like this, addicted to the hustle, addicted to striving, addicted to the next goal, addicted to the outcome, and often what happens, right? The addictions come from where we're not choosing to look at ourselves. So, yeah, being happy and content, absolutely, Jane. But I want you to think of an external circumstance, right? Where you have thought, if I get that, if I have that, then therefore I will increase in self-value. I will have more worth. I will be worthy. For some people, it's a relationship, right? Like, if I have this amazing love relationship, then I will be worthy. If I have this amazing career, then I will be worthy. If I make $1 million, then I will be worthy. And you know deep down in your soul, in your being, that is bullshit. Right? Can I get a hell yes? It's bullshit. Your self-worth does not come from money. It does not come from somebody else's validation. It does not come from your education. It does not come from your level of compassion. It does not come from your awareness of spiritual matters. It does not come from your ability to be I can never say this word, philanthropist, right? It does not come from any of those things. Okay, let's have a look at validation. Yes, Amanda, like needing other people to say, hey, you're okay, right? I've not so much associated my self-worth with possessions, but have in the past with actions, my actions. Yes, right? Like, if I show up and do this, then I'm worthy. If I if I give money to a worthy cause, or if I show up and I'm an activist, right, and therefore I stand up for what's right or what I believe to be right, then that creates self-worth. But I want you guys to realize this, right? I'm talking about your ego's definition of worth versus your soul definition of self-worth. Because your ego will say, you have to have this in order to be worthy. You have to have a tight butt. You have to look cute in that dress. You have to have blue eyes. Do you have noticed this, folks? It's often all the things that are opposite to you. Right? If you've got straight hair, you want curly hair. If you're short, you want to be tall. If you've got small boobs, you want big boobs. The list is endless. If you think that you're dumb, you want to be more intelligent. It's never ending, right? The goalpost always gets pushed out into the future. And this is how the ego will activate pride, right? If I'm an athlete and I win that race and I'm first, then I get to be proud, right? And again, but what happens after that? You know, even 2 weeks after you've won the race, what happens? Where does our self-worth truly originate from? Okay, so absolutely feel so freeing to not be attached to external things and circumstances. But also, too, I want you guys to understand this, right? Realizing this and then realizing that there is nothing external that creates your self worth, that it's an inside job, that it's internal, can be really frightening. Why? Because that's where we need to look. We need to look inside of ourselves and go and realize, right? This is my definition of self worth, folks. It's the quality of the relationship that you are having with yourself. Write that down, right? It's in my notes, but which I'll get to you, but it's the quality of the relationship that you are having with yourself. So even asking yourself, what is the quality of the relationship that I'm having with myself? Is there part of you that's like, I don't want to look at that? I don't know. I've never asked myself that question. Or maybe it's just like, ooh, crumbs, you know? Don't, you know, that makes me feel uncomfortable to even look at it. And notice that. Just bring some love and compassion to yourself if there's any discomfort from what I'm saying, because this is really, truly the greatest opportunity to open up so much energy. You know, like often I use the analogy when I'm working with people that people can compartmentalize a lot of things in their life. You know, like that's my career and that's my relationship and that's my money. When we start doing personal development and spiritual work, it's really about making everything open plan, right? It's just opening up all the walls and opening everything up into spaciousness. So really starting to, even if there's some fear about looking at yourself, about realizing that this is about you knowing yourself, liking yourself, trusting yourself, loving yourself. And guess what? In a way, this could be a huge relief. Why? Because you can stop worrying about all those things, right? You can stop going external and comparing yourself to other people. You can stop going external and saying, oh, my butt's too big compared to that other person. You can stop going external and saying, oh, I need to read more books so I'm more up to speed with current events, because if I'm not, then I'm not good enough. You know, you can stop telling yourself the whole litany of information that you should be doing to be worthy. Right? And for a lot of people, this can be kind of discombobulating, because it's like, well, I have invested so much in that. I have energy and focus and pride invested in that. Like, if I achieve this, then I get to be proud of myself. And what I'm asking you to do is unleash from all that. If you truly want to be free, if you truly want to experience self-worthiness, you will take the time to unhook one by one anywhere you're invested into externals. Other people's opinions, right? You can see how this causes chaos for people. What other people are saying. I do not spend time thinking about what other people think. Too busy thinking about what it is that I want to create. Can you see the difference? You know, it's not about other people externals, because what happens as soon as you go external, you lose your power. Right? You want to stay centered at all times, and you become the center, literally, of your whole reality. And a lot of people come back to me and they go, oh, that's really selfish. No, because you're in the space of choosing in every moment from your center. Your world actually becomes bigger rather than smaller, because you're looking after yourself and taking care of your own self-worth. You can literally give to other people more from a place of true and genuine love and authenticity, rather than needing them to respond to you in a particular way, needing them to give you validation, needing them to love you, right? You become free because you already have it. Now, I want to give you an example too, right, guys? When I actually, this was with one of my clients who's doing the intuitive mastery, and I won't mention her name because I haven't actually asked her permission, but I was talking to her and it was at one of our events, and she said about receiving compliments. And I actually said I don't often give compliments because people need to validate themselves. And I think she was actually a little offended, right? She was a little bit like, oh, that sounds a little bit harsh, right? But you think about it, what's more valuable to you? And if this could be a good litmus test, right? If somebody else says to you that you're great versus you saying, wow, I did good, what's more powerful? It should be yourself. You are the only person whose validation that you need. And hopefully that you're making space for the universe to love and appreciate and accept and adore you, rather than needing anything from anybody else. Okay, so just starting to realize, right? I want everybody to write a list of what your self-worth is not, right? It's not your clothing, it's not your jean size, it's not your butt shape, it's not your body, it's not your level of intelligence, it's not how intelligent you are, it's not how creative you are, it's not your job, it's not how much you give to other people, it's not your money, it's none of those things. And this can be a little bit of a seismic earthquake, because life, and also too, you think about it, marketing is often about what's wrong with you, right? Your hair color isn't the right shade, so you need to buy this. Or, your hair's too dry, so you should really buy this shampoo. Or, you need to eat better with your family, so you should need to buy the superfood. Or, you're going to die earlier of a heart attack, so you need to go to this gym. You think about it, there's so much of this in marketing, and a lot of it is subconscious and subtle. But you need to start taking your power back. Your sense of self-worth will not come from any external circumstance. Okay, so is everybody with me on this? Does anybody have any questions? Has it brought up some stuff? Is it like, oh my goodness, like all this time I have been thinking that if I studied harder, or if I worked harder, or if I worked out more, or if I was healthier, it doesn't come from any of those things. And I know this can be, this can really activate people. This can be triggering. This can be like, oh my goodness, even what you're saying is annoying me. Right? Just noticing that, being aware of that. Okay, I'm just going to have a look at some of your comments. Feels so freeing not to be, attached to a second. When I've reached certifications, felt my self-worth increase. Yes. Tell you what, this is a big one, right? Like if I get the degree, then people will believe in me because I've got the certificate to show them. It's a big one. I remember talking to a friend, and she really wanted to be a health coach, and she was amazing, right? She cooked amazing food, and she was like, oh, but I'd have to go and study for 3 or 4 years to do that because people wouldn't come to me unless I had the degree. Again, is that true? No, I said to her, why don't you just start sharing what you're doing with your friends and family and get some feedback, get their testimonials, get their, take them through a process and help them to increase their energy, and then start sharing that with other people. She was like, no, I have to go and get the degree. Your choice, right? In terms of whether you want to go through that process and where you're placing your beliefs. She could have totally done it the other way, but she didn't have enough belief in herself. She didn't have that self-worth. Yeah, past behavior. Yes, I have realized in the last year that I'm not getting my master's, but the writing, I found that hard to release. Yeah, and what would it take, Jules, to show up every day to the writing or whatever it is that you're doing with that joyful, playful abandon, right? No limits, no judgments, just being in that space of like, yeah, I choose to write because it makes me feel good. Yeah, workaholic. Amanda, I so appreciate that, right? Like if I do a good job, then finally, like my boss, or, kind of goes back to the school teacher or the headmaster or the person in authority is going to acknowledge me and say, you're amazing. And more often than not, they don't. They don't. We're looking for something externally to say you're okay, you're worthy, and we don't even realize that we already are. Okay. Oh yeah. Hell yes. Thank you, ladies. Yes. So I won't increase after my novel is published? Absolutely, Jules, right? This is the thing, because what happens, this is how guilt, so let's talk about guilt for a minute. And I've talked about this with you guys before, but this is how guilt does a number on us. Because what guilt does is says, when you get that, you will be worthy, right? So that, and also too, that seems fairly harmless, right? If you go for that, then it will increase your sense of self-worth. But have you ever noticed this, folks? When you manifest something cool, when you achieve something, when something goes really well, that feeling does not stay with you forever. You might experience it for an evening, for a couple of weeks, but it doesn't stay with you forever, right? Your happiness is not in the outcome, right? Your happiness is here now, and people do this to themselves all the time. It was Amy in the group. She actually put a post up about this one day about destination addiction, that we can literally be addicted to the destination, which is saying the future is better than here now. So we're constantly, and we're sold this again through a lot of marketing, advertising, your future is better than it is here now. You're living in that constant hopeful energy, often misinterpreted by inspiration. Like, a lot of people think, oh yeah, that's great, right? But we want to be able to pull that back and go, no, now is great. I am happy now. This is where my happiness comes from, and I choose it now. It doesn't have to be dependent on any external circumstance for me to be able to have that experience. So I know we've started off really big by talking about why self-worth is so important and what it's not, and some of it might be a little bit shocking, right? To go, oh my goodness, because of course when we're going to spend the rest of the week actually looking more at what self-worth is and how you can get there in the fastest possible way. Yes, love your hell yeses, ladies. Yep, egos always craves the next thing. Totally. It's like a kid that wants to be entertained. What's next? What's next? What's for dinner? What's for dessert? What's for lunch? What's for breakfast? What are we doing tomorrow? What's happening on the weekend? Right? Instead of being satisfied here and now. That's why, of course, the path really is to be prepared to be in solitude, stillness, and silence, where you sit down and you make time to be present to what is. Are you going to live your life in resistance, or are you going to choose acceptance and surrender? And I say that with a caveat, because a lot of people misunderstand what surrender is. They think it's giving up. It's not. It is the process of accepting what is. Oh, I get that. I used to be so scared of looking inside. Now I love getting to know myself on a deeper level. Yay. Thank you for sharing that, Rosie, right? Because often too, if people are just first starting the process of introspection, it can be scary, right? We can have a lot of intenser emotions that maybe we've ignored for a while, and it can be a lot of fear. So please, everybody, feel the collective love of knowing that it's safe to get to know yourself. In fact, it is the most powerful, beautiful, amazing thing that you can do, and it will bring you so many gifts and rewards. Even a circumstance that happened to me on the weekend, like I spent time with some family members where there has been conflict, and I was able to sit there in neutrality, right? And to me, that is a miracle. After there has been so much hurt and pain and conflict, to be able to sit there and to be neutral and to send love energy, right? And to be aware, to be observing of my own behavior in relationship to what is occurring. So it's so worth getting to know yourself so you can actually show up in those circumstances, because you've done the work at looking at yourself and observing yourself, getting to know yourself and being prepared to kind of pick up all the rocks and stones and pebbles and look underneath it and see what's there. And not just see what's there, but also love it, right? Love what's there. Yay, Sarah, yes, right? Because can you understand, folks, if your self-worth is the quality of the relationship that you're having with yourself, nobody can take it away from you. Nobody can touch it. Nobody can say, you're not good enough, because you're like, it just doesn't compute with my relationship that I'm having with myself. Nobody can throw their crap on you. And people do this all the time, right? Let's talk a little bit about projection. People, often if you listen carefully, and this is also part of developing your intuition, people will tell you who they are by the language that they use, right? And, often if people will pick at you about something, it's about them, right? What's an example that I can use? Where people say something to you and it kind of feels a little bit off, or it's not very kind or loving. It doesn't take a rocket scientist, right, to realize it's about them. Especially, why? If your self-worth is good, and I've talked about this before, that if they say something that's unkind and unloving and it doesn't land with you, that's because your self-worth is higher, or your belief in yourself is higher than what they have said. But I've talked about this before, right? Things only hurt from other people to the level that you already believe it about yourself. I'm going to say that again. So if somebody says something unkind or nasty to you, it only, like, if you're in good self-worth, right, you'll be like, oh, that just doesn't compute, and it falls off, right? It's like, oh, it's clearly about them because that's not how I feel about myself. But if somebody says something unkind for you and it stings or it lands, that's because on some level there's part of you that's agreeing with what they're saying. I think it was Eleanor Roosevelt who said that, didn't she? That people can only hurt you to the level that you believe it about yourself. So realizing that, and even thinking back in the last little while, if somebody said something to you and it's just been like, oh my goodness, it's kind of hurt, checking within yourself to go, well, where is there part of me that actually believes that's true? And to what level do I believe that is true about myself? This is how we start the process of doing self-inquiry. Okay? Awesome. So I'm just having a look at your comments here, folks. It's like a song by, is it Yael Naim? How can you stay outside when there's a beautiful mess inside? Exactly. And also too, I've heard that before about, being in the chaos of the external world versus being in the stillness and quietness that is available to you within yourself. Yeah, I love that validation from myself rather than other people's approval. It is, and also checking that, right? If it's not more powerful, your own validation, if it's not more powerful, what's it going to take for it to be more powerful than needing something from other people to know that you're okay? Yeah, oh my gosh, I've got it. Okay, finally the penny has dropped. Oh, I love those moments, Jane. Don't you just love those moments where things go, oh my goodness, it's just dropped into place for me on a whole different level. I love that you have that. That's cool. I love it. When I get more money, I will feel happy. Yes! Is the happiness in the money? No! And this is how we can set ourselves free, right? Because we can go, I get to be happy now. I get to be happy and get the money when the money shows up. And do you think the money might show up faster if you're already happy? Right? The universe hasn't set it up for us to lose. The universe really has set it up for us to win, 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 win. And the one thing I wanted to reiterate too, because I think sometimes people feel that it's not possible, I want to deeply reiterate this to you all right now, is that total and complete healing is possible. I'm going to say that again because it's really important. Total and complete healing is possible. Right? Like if you're experiencing a lot of contracted or negative or kind of confined energy at the moment, don't make yourself wrong. Love yourself. Be aware, love yourself. Recognize that there's work to be done. But you can literally get to the place where you feel completely healed. Right? That doesn't mean that things aren't going to happen, but again, recognizing that you have a choice in regards to how you're going to respond to it. If it is showing you something, i.e. there's a pain or a woundedness there, you do the work, you set yourself free so you can live in a state of being completely healed. It's also known as peace, right? And it is a state of being, it's not an emotion. Okay, I resisted it for years and then couldn't stay in the chaos anymore. The surrender was allowing myself to receive love from the universe and understand I'm a divine soul. Absolutely. So it's also often a shift in identity, right? It's a shift from thinking that you are anything out there to asking yourself, You know, even that simple question, how am I feeling? You know, if I was looking at who I want to be friends with, how about myself? You know, so the questions that I actually have, and I want you guys to write this down on a scale of 1 to 10. To what level do you like yourself? To what, you know, like if you saw yourself out and about, running around, doing whatever you're doing, and you were the observer of yourself, would you want to be friends with yourself? Would you be like, oh, she looks like a cool chick, really like to get to know her, right? So do you like yourself? Scale of 1 to 10, 1 being low, 10 being high. To what level do you like yourself? Next question, which is a big one. And again, just allow the answer to come into your mind. Again, remembering that awareness without judgment, innocent, that's just what it is. I'm not going to judge myself. I'm going to have the awareness. Now that I have the awareness, I can make some different choices. I can choose to increase, right? So the next one is, to what level do you trust yourself? To what level do you trust yourself? That's a good question too, right? Because trust is pretty much the foundation of all other values. Right? You know that men especially want to be trusted and respected more than they want to be loved. To them, trust and respect go hand in hand. If you trust me, you respect me. If you respect me, you trust me. I remember asking an older gentleman that question once, and he said literally that. He said they're the same thing. I said, would you prefer to be trusted or respected? And he said they're the same thing. You know, so recognizing that. How much do you trust yourself? Next question, how much do you back yourself? How much do you back yourself? Which is, you could interpret that as supporting yourself, believing in yourself, knowing who you are. How much do you back yourself? Right? Like, yeah, you know, this is important to me. I'm going to back myself. What's your number on a scale of 1 to 10? Now, this next one you might think is similar, but it's slightly different because it is about being more external. How much do you stick up for yourself? Right? This is a big one often for a lot of women, right? If somebody's crossed your boundary, man, woman, child, animal, somebody's crossed your boundary, to what level do you actually stick up for yourself and say, you know what, that's not okay? Okay, and just noticing the energy feels a little bit wobbly on that, right? Because you might have circumstances in your life right now where you are not speaking your truth. You're not having those conversations that need to be had. You're not saying to somebody, you know what, I'm not comfortable with that, or that doesn't work for me, or that's not my focus right now, or no, I'm afraid that's not going to work. It might be your kids, right? It might be a family member. It might be your partner. But where are you holding back from actually sticking up for yourself? And your body knows this stuff. I remember one particular circumstance, I've talked about it before, it was like my body was screaming at me. Like I said yes to something when I should have said no. My body screamed at me basically and said, you can't, no, 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 no. And I was physically tense until I picked up the phone and I said, look, I'm really sorry. I'm going to have to renege on that. I'm not available to do that. As soon as I did that, my body relaxed. Your body needs to know that it can trust you to stick up for it. Right? Again, this is probably even more important when it comes to your health. Right? What are you not listening to in your body? What is going on emotionally? Where are you not having those conversations? Where you have fear? Right? Where does your energy go external and you're like, oh, I'm afraid of hurting that person's feelings by expressing my truth? Right? Where does that leave your self-worth? Good question to ask. And the last question, of course, is, thank you, Juliet. She's saying no one can make you feel inferior without your consent. Absolutely. Because it means on some level that you have a belief that's already there. Okay. Yes, I do like myself here. 9. Cool, right? Great to have an awareness of it, isn't it? 8 for trust. Awesome. Love, unconditional love and forgiveness for myself regardless of my actions and where I'm at. Yes, beautiful, Linda, right? Because That's having an understanding of atonement, right? Atonement being the ability to be discerning about what needs to be atoned for. So if you make a mistake, that you atone for it, right? You go, oh, I made a mistake. I have awareness that I made a mistake. I'm going to do what I need to do to rectify the mistake. And then I'm going to move on, right? I'm not going to hold myself locked in the shackles, connected to the past, flagellating myself forever and ever. You know, it's really interesting about, I remember watching a documentary once about humans are the only species, right, that self-flagellate. Right? Animals don't sit there and go, oh my God, you're unforgiven. You know, they don't do that. They just get on with it. They don't have that ego holding them to ransom. To be my own cheerleader and best friend is phenomenal. Awesome. Okay, cool. So 8 for trust, support myself 8, stick up for myself 8. So great, awesome awareness, guys. So I want you to always lean in to that other percentage, right? And your body will tell you often as well. It will be like, yeah, it's that person, and you need to say that thing, and you haven't said that thing. Because why is that? It's about you showing that you care about yourself. And often this can get a little sticky for people because it's about taking action. Okay, so the other question that we could have asked there is, what's your ability to be able to say no? Yes to what you want to say yes to, and no to what you don't want to say yes to. Because that's always quite telling. And your body will know if you're good at it or not, right? You'll be able to tell immediately. Because often too, you might feel a sense of contraction. For some people it might feel like guilt emotionally, where you're not actually honouring yourself, okay? So definitely want to stick up for myself more. Yes, right? Yes, and now my best friend. And also too, can you see, folks, how this is actually part of the collective consciousness? Like, even especially for women, even getting to the point, can you believe it, in this 20th century, right? That we're 21st century, that we're in that space where we're having Me Too campaigns, because women have felt so afraid to actually say, no, that's wrong. It's not, I'm not doing that. You're crossing my boundaries. No way. Right? It's pretty crazy in this day and age, right? That we are still struggling with sharing the truth of our experiences and sticking up for ourselves. Okay, so yes, I'm now my best friend. Yes, 10, totally trust myself. 10, fully back myself. Sticking up for myself is an 8. Okay, awesome, cool. So again, it's all about awareness. Ability to say no is 8, used to be 0. And can you feel the difference in your body too, Rosie? Okay, folks, so just to recap, because we have gone over time, but thank you all for staying here and being plugged into this, because self-worth is so important. So of course, we started with why self-worth? Because it fundamentally impacts every single area of your life in terms of what you actually experience. And we've talked extensively about what your self-worth is not. It's not your body, it's not your eye color, it's not your level of intelligence, it's not your career, it's not your partner, it's not your kids. You know, anywhere there's any part of you that might look to take pride from your ego, it is not those things. It's not your house, it's not whether you've been in house and garden, it's not how intelligent you are, it's not your family or your connections or who you hang out with, where you go on holiday. It's nothing external. It's the quality of the relationship that you are having with yourself. And of course, that can bring up some mixed emotions because it requires looking inwards and starting to ask some questions and getting to know yourself. But remembering, of course, that getting to know yourself is the most valuable thing. You know, you're so multifaceted and amazing, and often we have no idea of how powerful we are. I see this all the time with my clients. They're struggling with their self-worth. They haven't fully activated their power proposition. So thank you so much for being here. During the week, of course, we're going to dive deeper into what's required to see your self-worth in a completely different way. Hopefully this has opened the door for you today in regards to what your self-worth is not. But we're going to move deeper into what your self-worth is over the week. I will come back to you later today with a time for tomorrow. I hope you've enjoyed this. Please post your comments and let me know. If you're watching the replay, please just do #replay so I can see in terms of making it a good time for people. And I will, I'm also going to post this on YouTube. So if you are on YouTube, feel free to subscribe, like this video, leave me your comments. I'd love to hear from you guys in regards to how this lands for you. Thanks so much for being here, folks. I love you guys bunches, and I'm excited about what's going to happen by the end of the week. All right, folks. See you later. Bye.